Perhaps in the Marvel Universe, Magneto cannot be considered the ultimate powerhouse, but he absolutely deserves to be called the most iconic supervillain. No matter how powerful his enemies are, he always appears extraordinarily composed and elegant whenever he strikes, yet even such a terrifying existence has no chance to fight back when facing the not yet fully awakened Dark Phoenix. As the only Class 5 mutant among the X-Men, Jean's superpowers have always been unfathomable. Even the mutant progenitor, who has lived for over 5,000 years, was reduced to fragments under her supernatural abilities. The reason Jean possesses such terrifying power traces back to a space rescue mission from several years ago. To prevent the spacecraft from being consumed by solar flares, Xavier immediately ordered Cyclops to destroy the thrusters, forcing the ship to regain stability. Working with Nightcrawler, who brought Quicksilver to the cabin, they utilized their superpowers to conduct lightning-fast rescue operations. When the rescue was completed and Mystique ordered their return, the astronaut anxiously indicated that their commander was still inside. With solar flares about to destroy the spacecraft, Nightcrawler brought Jean back into the space shuttle. Jean used her superpowers to prevent the ship's disintegration. Just as Nightcrawler returned with the commander, the solar flare suddenly struck, completely engulfing Jean within it. Just when everyone thought she had perished, something bizarre occurred. Jean actually absorbed this mysterious energy. After the explosion ended, Jean's body was perfectly restored by this mysterious force. Upon seeing this, Nightcrawler quickly activated his teleportation to rescue her back to the ship. Although filled with confusion, seeing Jean safe and sound, everyone's anxious hearts were finally at ease. Unexpectedly, after returning to Earth, the energy within Jean began to erupt uncontrollably, causing her to fall into a coma on the spot. Seizing this opportunity, the professor hurried to enter her mind to assess the situation. However, this unexpectedly unveiled a segment of her childhood memories. It turned out that Jean had possessed incomprehensible superpowers since childhood. Once her loss of control triggered a car accident that claimed her mother's life. Her father, unable to face this disaster-causing freak, sought out the professor, hoping he would take Jean to the X-School and preferably never see her again. To prevent her from losing control again, the professor helped her construct mental barriers to isolate her pain and sealed away these memories. But now the barriers were rapidly collapsing, and scenes from the car accident were slowly surfacing. At this moment, Jean awakened. She said she heard her father's voice and believed the professor had deceived her, so she immediately expelled the professor from her consciousness. Soon Jean returned to her childhood home. Following her memories, the person who answered the door was indeed her father. The look in his eyes toward Jean was filled with nothing but fear. In this moment, Jean's emotions began to gradually explode. She questioned her father about why he had abandoned her back then. At this time, the professor and others also arrived in the town, but Jean had already been overwhelmed by anger. She believed the professor had deceived her. He wanted to exploit her superpowers. Watching the 3 police cars rushing toward them from behind, Jean, consumed by rage, completely erupted. Her superpowers went out of control once again. Meanwhile, a group of Skrulls secretly infiltrated Earth. They first killed humans, then disguised themselves as humans, with the purpose of seizing the mysterious energy Jean had absorbed in space and transforming Earth into their home planet.